Okay. I know I need to get to the review, but every time I'm looking back over these episode clips, I can't help but crack up. Dungeons and Discords is a wildly creative, consistently hilarious, and all around highly entertaining entry to the series. So much so that I have to ask, why didn't they try something like this sooner? This setup is comedy gold. Admittedly, the story seems just a bit jumbled in places, and I imagine a lot of us were wishing they could have spent more time on certain elements and less time on others. But with the concept being such a fantastic fit for the characters they chose, I'm far more willing to just sit back and enjoy the show. The story begins with Discord dropping in on Fluttershy and being told yet again that she has other priorities she needs to focus on besides him. Even after all these years, the fear of being left alone is a consistent staple of Discord's character, and it makes for a fair setup to include Spike and Big Mac into the story. Plus, I think the writers were just looking for an excuse to bring back angry Fluttershy again, and it works pretty well. And besides, a big part of the draw for any Discord episode is seeing all the creative animations that come with the character. And once again, you really need to go through several viewings just to pick up on all the references and in-jokes. Who would have thought that Discord was a fan of jazz and zoot suits? Still, the main reason I, and probably a lot of other people were looking forward to this episode were so excited, was based solely on its title. And sure enough, we are introduced to Spike and Big Mac's favorite pastime, ogres and oubliettes. Now, aside from the obvious connections to Dungeons and Dragons, this is actually not the first time this game has been mentioned in MLP. Or at least if you look at the comics, this idea had been first introduced about 3 years ago. I believe this marks the first time the show has actually drawn inspiration from the comics, where, as before, it was always the other way around. While not going so far as to make the comic stories canon to the show, I do appreciate the writers aren't ignoring the comics entirely. And while some of us might think it's strange that Spike and Big Mac would fantasize about a world filled with monsters and adventure when they themselves already live in a world with far-off adventures and fantastical creatures, this actually speaks a good deal about their characters. We've seen more than a few examples of how Spike dreams of being a knight in shining armor off to rescue his fair lady Rarity. But now we see a bit of a different side with his desire to master magic, just as he has helped Twilight to do so over the years. And even with Big Mac, we might think he secretly wishes to have a unicorn magic of his own, yet we only see him using to swing a sword around. And then we have Discord himself, who once again is trying to be the center of attention and even take over the festivities. Admittedly, upon my first viewing, I thought they should have spent more time on the ogres and oubliettes scenes and less time on the setup, since this is by far the most entertaining and even creative part of the story on the whole. Seriously, keeping everything in that world as a cardboard cutout surrounded by dice rolls was really clever. But looking back, there's actually more of a lesson here than what you might have expected. At least there was to me. Initially, it just seems like Spike and Big Mac needed to learn a bit more patience when reaching out to Discord. But the fact that much of the episode is spent on Discord trying to swing the activities to his preferred means of entertainment is the stronger lesson here. It was kind of necessary for many scenes to be focused on Discord's antics because it made for a good parallel with those who can't stand being alone and yet aren't willing to put aside their own pride on how others see them. Even trying to drive the activity towards their own preferences during those rare opportunities of having someone to spend time with. This is far more commonplace than what a lot of people might think. And while, again, many of us might have wanted the story to spend more time on the actual ogres and oubliettes world with how entertaining it was, I think that's kind of the point. We should be grateful for those once-in-a-while episodes when the MLP staff are catering more towards the adult audience, and I can agree that such instances should only be once in a while. Constantly demanding the MLP staff cater to what we want with no regard for what they might enjoy creating and find entertaining? How many times have we seen that kind of behavior online? Still, I'm probably overthinking this, as I often do. Maybe one day we'll get a follow-up which plays on the ogres and oubliettes angle far more. But for now, I was genuinely entertained with what we got. And even if I might have wanted things a bit differently, I can certainly understand why the writers put it together this way. So once more, I have to call Dungeons and Discords a great entry in the series overall. But what do you think? What sort of ideas were popping in your head when you first heard about this concept? With Spike and Big Mac wanting to play the heroes they've chosen, what does that say about their characters? Do you suppose there might be more of a lesson here than what first meets the eye? I would like to hear your thoughts on Dungeons and Discords, and here's looking forward to even more episodes that entertain so thoroughly. I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.
The bars exist in our
imagination.